For this video, I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of buying a condo for a medium-term rental space or buying a single-family house for a medium-term rental space. We have a podcast, a website, TikTok, Instagram. I will drop all those links below. We service Denver and Colorado Springs and the surrounding areas, and we typically work with buyers, sellers, and then investors that are interested in the medium-term or the short-term space. If you are looking for a more comprehensive guide for medium-term renters or medium-term rentals, I did write a book on it, and you can buy it on Amazon in Kindle or paperback. But in this book, I talk about how to set up your lease. There's checklists, how to set up your listing for success, how to think about your tenants, who they are. Really, it kind of covers everything that I talk about in these videos, but it's all in one resource. Again, you can find it on Amazon. It is called, if you just type in American Nomads and Erin Spradlin, you'll find it. I have mentioned this before in videos, but I think it's worth repeating that these videos assume that you're in the market to buy and that you have all the money and all the location all the time and you can find the perfect property. But it doesn't need to be the perfect property, so please don't let any of this hold you back. If you already have a property or you have limited funds and you're trying to think about it and you're like, oh no, Erin said to do this or that, but I don't have that. Chances are if you cover, if you check off 7 out of 10 of the recommendations, you're probably going to be fine. There is no one perfect property. We just want to help you avoid buying a property that will not work or converting a property that will not work. Okay, so let's talk about the medium-term rental space, condos versus single-family homes. We'll start with condos. I think condos, and I make this point in the book, I think condos are kind of where you want to be looking for the medium-term rental space. And the reason for that is because, again, you need to think about who your tenant demographic is. So it is probably going to be couples or singles. So you really don't need a large property for that type of person. You need a smaller space. I would say anywhere between a studio to a 3-bedroom. They are not necessarily coming in for the space. They are coming in for the proximity to great restaurants, good hiking, good beach, things to do, right? So if you were thinking about, we've always thought about this as traveling nurses, and we talk about it as like, okay, what's the proximity to the hospitals or whatever, but this demographic is getting expanded to remote workers that also have a lot of money, and similar to traveling nurses, before they make that decision to settle down, get married, have kids, whatever, they want to explore cool places that might be harder in the future. And since they're no longer tethered to their jobs, they can do that. But the point being, it's probably going to be 3 people or less. It's going to be 3 friends or less, a couple, a single. You probably are not traveling around with family because it's really hard to mix up kids' schedules. For that reason, condos, I think, condos, townhomes are actually a little bit better fit for this model because property tends to be closer to the size they want and perhaps closer to the location that they want. Good news is it's also more affordable for you, most likely. Okay, so that is the first benefit of doing condos. The other benefit of it is that it most likely will come with parking, at least 1 parking space. I definitely don't think you need more than 1 parking space, but I do think if you can get 1 parking space, that's great and people will like it. So there's that. The amenities are huge for medium-term renters. They are going to be excited to come in and have access not only to a cool property located close to things that they want to do, but also if it has a gym, a pool, these are going to be benefits that they really like. Obviously, laundry on site is great. So all of that is good. Yard work would be another benefit to condos, townhomes, so that someone else is maintaining that. So it's neither your problem nor your tenant's problem. I do not think the majority of remote workers or medium-term renters or traveling nurses want to come into town and be responsible for keeping your grass alive, watering your plants, making sure that the weeds are pulled. They want this stuff taken care of. And again, a condo and a townhome, you have professionals that do this for you, as well as snow removal. So I think in all these ways, it fits them better. And then finally, and I've made this point in other videos, but finally, I think that safety is a huge one because specifically with traveling nurses, 92% of nurses at this point are still female. So although I don't know the demographics specifically for traveling nurses, we can guess that it's quite high. And I think females, particularly single females, are concerned about their safety. And so if you're in a condo, there's a good chance that there are multiple doors that lock that an intruder is going to have to get through. Also, there's cameras everywhere, and some condos will have doormen too. So it's just a lot safer for your female tenants. And in addition to that, if you have a property that is on, the second floor up, it's harder for somebody to get in than if you have a condo, townhome, or house that's on the first level where someone maybe can climb through a window or something. Not a fun subject to think about, but definitely relevant. Okay, 2 downsides to condos. The first is appreciation. So I have owned a number of different properties set up for medium and short-term rentals since 2015. And 3 of those have been condos, and then one was a duplex, and then 2 other were single family homes. The single family homes and the duplexes appreciated far faster across the 2 different markets than the condo did. For all the different cities I've called to find out if they allow for short-term rentals, it's always 30 days that's the hang-up. It's written in the code that you can rent for 30 days or fewer or not. So if you do a medium-term rental for 30 days plus, you are golden in every city I've talked to or serviced, right? But that's not true for your HOA. Your HOA might put something in the docs that limits you to a 6-month rental or a 90-day rental. I would feel comfortable with a 60-day rental, but I wouldn't feel comfortable beyond that if the HOA had the limitation. The other issue with an HOA is just that it's like having 50 business partners instead of just having yourself or your spouse or whoever your other business partner is. Going into investing to feel like you want independence from your job and you want to call your own shots, the more business partners you have, honestly, the more bosses you have. It's not that they all have a say, but if something really important comes up, you're talking about a lot more bureaucracy when you're trying to get something done. So that's a bit of a concern. All right, the benefits of the single family house on the flip side of that are that they appreciate much faster, in my opinion and in my experience. You are limited in who has any say as far as what you can do. I mean, some houses have HOAs, but it seems like a lot of those are 500 or less for the year, and those people don't really have the time or the interest to be changing up docs all the time. You still need to check this, but it's just, again, I feel like it's much less likely in a neighborhood HOA that they're gonna limit what you can do. So really the regulation you're looking for in a single family house is what the city is putting on it. So that's good. The appreciation is good. The drawbacks, in my opinion, on a single family house are the yard. That will always be my number one concern, is just that the yards are expensive. Snow removal is expensive. Tree removal is expensive. It just adds up with a single family house, and it's not always fun. So that is a drawback. I think safety can be a little bit of a drawback. You can certainly put in Ring cameras and whatnot. I think Simply Safe is also a great product that you can add that will elevate your safety, which I do think is important, but it's not as good as being in a condo with a doorman or multiple security doors before someone can access it. But there are ways to improve that situation, so I like that. Depending on the size of the house, you may not need that much property for who your ideal tenant pool is. However, you can add a fence, which is attractive for your renters that are going to come in potentially with animals. Being in a condo with a dog, being on the 8th floor of a condo with a dog, it's not the end of the world, but it's not the most convenient thing. So again, you might attract more people like that. You might attract people that have had bad experiences in the past where they've had somebody really noisy on the other side. Obviously, there are fewer issues with that in a house. Bottom line though, I think you're going to want to look at your proximity to cool stuff for either situation, whether it's a condo, a townhome, or a single family property. I really believe that the medium-term renter is in a phase of their life where they are making decent money, they want to travel, they can now do it because they're not tethered to their job, or their job, in the case of a traveling nurse, is sending them around the country, and so they want to do that stuff. And so that's the bigger priority over having a really cool property that's in the middle of nowhere and there's nothing to do. All right, I hope that was helpful. Again, likes and subscribes are always appreciated. If you want more information, I have dropped links below, and we will see you again soon. Thanks.